Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this episode of Technically Short. So this episode, Sean and I, after the last, well, maybe not the last episode, but probably about a couple episodes ago, we talked about vision and how the purpose, really what we talked about of the podcast, is with our drastically different views on topics to help guide and people towards their calling so they can live the life that they're being called to lead. And that's something I wanted, and I thought about that a little bit, and I brought this up to Sean, and I was like, well, what do we drastically have different opinions on? And because those are some great topics we could talk about.
Absolutely.
And I came up with the idea, we've talked about this a few times, we definitely have different views on this. So we're going to talk about the concept of rest, and we're going to give you some of our different perspectives about what it is and what it's for and when we do it, and I might even touch on, and honestly we'll see where it goes. But yeah, so I introed Sean, so why don't you start?
Okay.
I'll ask you a question. So let's just start with how do you see rest? What is it? What is rest?
Okay. For me, I see rest when you are working hard and you need time to recuperate.
Mm-hmm.
So you're I don't want to use rest in the word rest. So when it's not sleep. I don't think sleep and rest are the same thing to me. They're not for me. You can sleep, but if you've been lazy all day, you didn't get any rest. I feel like rest comes from when you've been doing something that was hard work, some type of, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, whatever type of work you're doing, you're trying to recuperate the body, to get back to the energy that you needed to be at, to get back to the level of the body that needs to be ready to go back to working hard.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, I get what you're saying. I think with sleep, in particular, and I realized I didn't start the timer, but it's fine. I'll start it now. But sleep, in my mind, it is a form of rest because you're not doing anything. Regardless of what you did during the day, it's hopefully 7 to hopefully 8 hours. Now with our age, it should be 8 to 9 hours of sleep, which is really hard to get a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But in sleep, you're not doing anything. Your body is recuperating. That's actually one of the best ways that we heal, and from disease, and even our bodies heal during the time that we are sleeping. So it's not just a rest for our minds; it's a rest for our bodies. But the concept of but whenever I think about rest, honestly, this is always a hard topic for me to think about because rest, for me, rest to me, for me, whatever. Rest is kind of like you said. It's kind of the same. You can resting after something hard, but also rest. And that hard thing can be mental or physical. Mm-hmm. There's some things I did whenever I read Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Raynor. Great book. Recommend it. I'll link it in the show notes. We'll see if I remember. I'll make a note of it when Sean's talking. But
Jordan Raynor, right?
Jordan Raynor. I have his book upstairs. But one of the things about rest, he talks about, there's a whole chapter on rest in that book. And one of the things he brings up, and I don't exactly remember, I'm going to reread this book in the in near-ish future. There was a time where he says in the book, whenever you're doing something physical, and you're doing this time of what he calls deep work, and he's not the term he coined, I guess, but what's being called deep work, you're heavy in your work, whether it's physical, then go do 30 minutes or 15 to 30 minutes of something mental. Give your body a rest, but then go engage your mind. And then vice versa. If you're engaging your mind at a heavy rate for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or however long, give your mind a rest and go do something physical. That way you get this well-rounded version of yourself, and you also don't overwork any part of you. And yeah, I think the rest to me is it's in the same vein for sure as what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely, like, it's in the same vein. Like, but like, I think there's more. Like, to me, there's more to it than just what you said. But I don't disagree with what you said. But like, let's go to something else though. So, you kind of touched on it. Like, you kind of said like you rest after doing something hard.
Yeah.
But is that the only time?
Well, I feel like, this is me personal, I feel like it should be. Like, I don't think you should just, like, I don't think you can get rest if you just, like, for me, sleeping all day, like, or sleeping all week wouldn't be rest unless you have done something worth sleeping. Because otherwise, I feel like laziness and sleep don't equal rest to me.
Okay.
Like, so, like,
that makes sense. And I wasn't cutting you off.
Oh, no. That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Okay. I lost my train of thought, which happens sometimes. What did you just say?
So I said laziness and sleep doesn't equal rest. Yeah. So, like, I feel like...
Oh, I remember now. Sorry.
Okay.
I remember I had a question. So is there such a... If those things aren't rest, is there, in that logic, is there such a thing as too much rest?
See, the way I see it is rest is for the recuperating of the body, mind, spirit, all that. Yeah. So once you're recuperating, you're supposed to leave the time of rest. So like once you feel good enough, so say like you worked 8 hours really hard, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever you did that worked really hard. When you put on rest mode, you were recuperating. It's almost like when my PS4, it'll tell you that like you can have an opportunity to turn your PS4 off or turn it on or put it on rest mode. When it's on rest mode, it's still doing all the things but less. Like it's charging the controller, it's charging whatever needs to be charged, it's still putting out a signal, but it's recuperating. So it's not getting overly heated that it would be.
Good. Right? That's really good. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like the like I said, like I feel like sleep is a version of it, but like it's not the only version. Right. And like when it like you said, if it's off, it's off. It's not doing anything. Yep. And like, and you could play with if you're applying that to a human being. Well, we're still doing things. Our bodies we're not dead for 8 hours. But right. but the concept is there. Yeah. I get the concept. I get it, and I like it. But whenever it's in rest or standby mode, just like that, it's a computer. So it just like any other piece of technology that has that, like it's still using some resources. Yeah. It's still like, and maybe like rest could be just watching TV for a little bit. Right. And like you're still awake, you're still watching TV, but you're not physically doing anything. You're taking that time to kind of refresh. Right. And so Sean, let me ask another question. Like, speaking on that vein of like watching TV or doing whatever during rest, what do you do what is your favorite way to rest? Okay, favorite way to rest. Usually, it's either watching anime. Anime. I love watching anime, or it's just watching any type of action-packed, relaxing type movie, or sometimes it used to even be scary movies, but like any type of where you're just not doing anything productive, but you're doing something to enjoy the mind, or you're doing something to recuperate. So like if you work really, really hard, then I do believe that like, okay, get some rest, get some sleep. But that I don't believe that like sleep always is rest, because there's some people who just sleep 24/7, haven't done anything to work for the sleep. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're working physically or mentally or spiritually and you need to get physical rest of like sleep, I think that's good. But if you're not doing anything productive in any type of way, I don't think sleep just equals rest all the time. Yeah, for sure. And like, I guess with rest, like with you with rest, like there's so many different directions I could go right now. But honestly, like with me with rest, I think like what I do, sometimes it will be reading a book that is engaging my mind, but like it's engaged, and I was engaged, like me, I engage my mind all day with doing develop. I'm a developer. If you don't know, you're listening to this episode. I'm a web and mobile app developer, have been for over 5 years. But now I've been really getting into reading books on leadership and other things, or even just like sometimes a storybook before bed, but like a fiction book. But like I love like reading books about leadership, and like that gives me like it gives my mind a form of rest that it's still engaging, but in my mind I'm not trying to figure out a problem. I'm not like with development. I'm always problem solving. With reading books on leadership, it feels more like I'm doing research and like growing. And like, I'm not saying development doesn't grow me. There's ways that does, and that's maybe a topic for a different time. But there's it does something different for me. Like if I was reading development books, if I reading leadership books all day, then development might feel like the rest. But it's really just doing something different than what I'm currently doing. If I'm doing something all the time,
Right.
But yeah, but no, I'm just thinking about like as you were talking, like I wasn't thinking about it before, but resting your mind, body, or your spirit. Like when I think about resting the spirit, like I think back to, again, this kind of going to reference Redeem Your Time again. He has a full section is on rest, but there's also a section, a chapter on eliminating hurry. And like this whole book's on time management, if you didn't catch that. But the concept of eliminating hurry is like being able to be essentially like not feeling like you have to run from thing to thing, but also adding in those times where you can just sit and be still. And that's something I'm really, really bad at. Like I remember a time I was in junior ROTC in high school. And we went to Universal Studio. We were at Universal Studio. We were down in Florida I forget what we were actually down there for, but we made a day of going to Universal on top of what we were already doing. And my friends I was with, they're like, Thomas, like we don't know where we're going. We have to sit down and look at the map. I'm like, no, the ride's right there. Let's go. Like I don't want to stand still. I hate it. To be honest, I hate standing still. I hate like feeling like I'm not doing anything. So whenever enter the concept of being still for your own benefit, that's a hard concept for me to grasp sometimes. And I've had some of the best experiences with the Lord with spending that intentional time of just like laying on the couch and just not saying anything. There's nothing happening around me and I have like a Bible verse in my head. I'm just meditating on that verse. I'm just being still. And I think God knows that's hard for me to do. I'm doing this to get more connected with the Lord. And like, especially if there's something I want to hear from him on, and there's something I want to directly talk to him about. And I know that might sound weird to people that don't
sounds good.
Don't believe in God. But don't believe in God, and maybe I shouldn't say as firm, but like that maybe don't understand those concepts. But if you have questions, shoot us a message or your local pastor. But like I think resting your spirit, at least in the concept of Christianity, is spending intentional time in prayer with the Lord, doing nothing else. Like I wouldn't. For me, I don't even turn worship music on during that time because I want my mind to be directly focused on what I'm thinking about and focus on Him. I feel like there's a time for doing the worship music and like going crazy on your own or like worshiping. There's also time to worship by just literally physically doing nothing and just engaging your mind with Him and like in your spirit. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with most of that. I mean, the only thing I also think worship music can be a time of rest because for me that's usually
well, I wasn't saying it wasn't a time of rest.
Like,
I just think that was specifically for me.
Oh, for me, I use worship music a lot for rest. Like in my mind, because it's so like there's always something where I'm like, okay, I need to be doing this better, X, Y, and Z, and then like my mind just thinks of like, okay, I've been in a season of a valley, right? So I'm like, okay, nonstop, gotta keep getting out of this valley that I put myself in.
Yeah.
So I've been trying, I was like, all right, So what gives me peace and rest during the season in the valley is literally worship music. It's like, because it's like when I'm reading the Bible, I read it in a standpoint of, okay, God, what are you giving me today? Okay, what mission do you have me on today? Where do you want me to go today? Like, you know what I mean? So when I read the Bible, I'm always thinking of like, all right, Lord, where are you having my heart set? Like, so I start thinking a lot.
Yeah.
So when I'm worshiping, it's just all about God. And it's like
really
all my problems, all my focus is not on me. It's just thank you, God, for everything that you blessed me with. Thank you, God, for the world you made, my friends, my family. Like, you know what I mean? Just it's a thankfulness, and it's not like me focused, so I can like rest. Yeah. It's like, okay, don't worry about your problems. God will handle them. You know what I mean? It's like that.
I 100% agree with that. Like because worship music in itself, like I wasn't saying it wasn't rest. I'm saying that form of rest that I have the hardest time doing is being still. So whenever I want to be as still as I possibly can be, like in my mind and body, I can't have worship music on. That's me personally, because my mind I want to like listen to the worship music more than actually think. I want to listen to the worship music more than what if there's something specific I want to talk to him about.
Yeah,
and I think that makes sense. But with worship music, at least you were kind of hinting at it. Like it takes your attention. If it takes your attention, if your focus is on God, it takes your attention off yourself, off, like you said, off your valleys, off anything going on in your life, and put your focus purely on Him. So it gives your mind that rest, because you can be like, God, this isn't my fight. I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to rest. I'm going to rest in you.
That is so good.
I'm going to rest in you as I focus just solely on you while I worship you. And and all I was saying before is like I feel like there are times to do worship music, and I think very like strategically, like when the best time is to optimize. You know, it's like obviously it can get toxic in certain areas, but like whenever for me. Worship music, I do listen to it. I do get a lot of great things out of it by like why worship Him. It's not for obviously it's not for me. It's for Him, and it's for worshiping Him. And it gives me so much. It does give me peace. I think another piece of rest. There should be peace within the rest. If there's not peace in your rest, then you're not actually experiencing rest.
I agree.
And that's a question for you guys that are listening. What gives you peace? What gives you peace? What is rest for you? This isn't the end of the episode, but I just felt like asking you guys that question. Like, think about that. Write something down. Like, what gives me peace? And, like, what gives me peace? Is it praying to God? Is it meditating? Is it just, like, spending time with family whenever they're not crazy? I just think that, I don't know where I was going. My mind. I sometimes I start saying words and hoping my brain will catch up.
You were going like, what gives you peace? Like, you were given the subjects of like,
because I started going off to asking that question, but like, and I was like, for me, like I get a lot of peace. That's where I get a lot of peace, and just talking to God. But I also get like a lot of peace. I get some peace, not as much, but I get some peace of mind. Of just, like, if I'm getting frustrated with work, of moving my mind away from that and doing quick prayer and then going and do something else real quick. My mind is like a meter of, like, of unsettling uncertainty, and, like, being like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I made this big mistake, or I've been working on this thing all day and I haven't figured it out. Like, I haven't solved this problem. And then I, like, stop, go take a break, calm down, like bring that like stress level down, and then go back, get some peace, and go back to work. And then you're better off, and then it's a lot easier to actually solve that problem later on. But yeah, because like I feel like again, like it's hard for me to break. It's hard for me to take breaks. Like rest for me, like this is something in the concept of rest. I'm gonna, if you have something.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, I think there's different levels of rest too, right?
Yeah.
So like today, me, Thomas, and the boys, we're gonna go enjoy each other's company. To me, that's rest for me. Like, you know what I mean? That is rest when I'm able to hang with my family, friends, and whether it's sometimes playing video games or if it's watching anime or if it's watching football or whenever I'm not doing something productive with my friends or family, it just feels like rest. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we're just hanging, going somewhere or we're on a trip or something, you know what I mean? Like anything that's not like, what I mean by productive, I mean like it's not like work related in any type of way usually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when it's not like making you like critically think very hard or stuff like that. When you're just with your friends and family and you're able to just go and enjoy each other's company. To me, that's rest too. Like that's why I was saying there's like different degrees of rest. So like today, me and Thomas and the bros, we're about to all gonna just rest. You know what I mean? That's what it's gonna feel like, going on a trip, hanging out, and it's a rest.
On a trip in my favorite rocket ship. Sorry.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. That's rest.
But I think like I agree with that. I think with me, I know sometimes like me being, I brought this up before. I don't personally like the terms introvert versus extrovert because I think they're like just labels that we use, but I lean more towards the introverted side. I'm more of like I like to be secluded, not more often than not, but I like to have my seclusion.
Right.
So if I'm spending like multiple days around people, that's not rest for me. Even if we're having a good time, eventually it's not rest anymore. Eventually I'm like, dude, I just need to be by myself and I need to rest on my own.
I think that's fair.
And like, I think other people like you're a lot more outgoing. Whenever you're around people, you can be a lot more outgoing.
Right.
And I think I just said it like that just so we're focusing on people and our interactions with them. But like and like you love being around people. I feel like you could be around people 24/7 and be happy all the time and be as long as it's a good situation. And like you said, as long as your friends and family and everything's calm,
right,
then you'll be fine. Even if it's coming for me, I'm like, I gotta go home, man. I gotta go spend some time by myself.
Well, I think that's healthy. Like, I agree 100% with you. I think it becomes not rest if it's all the time. Like, so I do think seclusion at some points is good. Like, even if you're just
I feel like everybody needs that time.
Yeah, easily.
Like, everybody needs that time of seclusion. Especially, I'm gonna say especially people that consider themselves an extrovert. Yeah. Because if you're always around people, you're not letting your mind take a rest, and you just sit alone with the Lord. Even if you have a family, you need to have a space that's just yours,
right? I agree.
Where you can just be like, where you can spend time with God. Maybe that's outside, so you can walk in the woods. Like I can't wait to live near woods again, where I can like go on a nice hike for a couple hours and not worry about anything. I would think about my form of rest for me is leaving the house and being with friends in most circumstances. Like whenever I'm home by myself too much, right? And I was like I want to, and I get out of the house. Like sometimes I'll get rest leaving the house because I work from home. Because if I'm home, then everything I want to or have to get done is pretty much here. So, or most of it is, not everything. Most of it is here in the house. And if I'm not in the house, I'm not thinking about it. Right. As much, I'll say. Not thinking about it as much. And I'll go to a park and I'll read my books, and not have to worry about anything.
But that's good rest. You know
that's right. And it's like, I think we're hitting something very consistently. And I'm going to try and word this. We've said it. You said it multiple times. I said it, but not directly. You said it directly. Pretty much doing anything for extended a period of time, even if it extended as in like I don't know, I guess that's to your own perception what you consider an extended period of time. But for an extended period of time, you're just you consider it rest for a short amount of time. Like if you do anything for a long amount of time, it's not rest anymore because it's what you're doing consistently. Right. And so I feel like people that live a consistently relaxed life, what do you do for rest? What do you do?
That's so good.
And so I feel like, I don't know, it just got me thinking because this just I don't know, this conversation, it kind of worked that out of me of if you're doing anything for a long period of time, like sometimes my brain will tell me like, or like, Thomas, you need to stop. My body right now, especially like because of my medical issues, but like will tell me, Thomas, you need to stop and take a rest. And my body will say that, and my brain will be like, no, no, keep moving. You got things to do. And sometimes it's, but sometimes you gotta listen to, like for me, you gotta listen to your body. You gotta listen to your spirit. Your brain, my brain is go, 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 go. It's like rest does not compute.
But that's a good thing to listen to your spirit. Because I mean, like there's times when and Thomas, you're very productive. So like
that's why it's hard.
That's why I can always say that like you can actually deserve a break. There's some people in life where you don't deserve a break because you've been taking a break the entire time, so it's not rest anymore time. You know what I mean? And when that happens, like I have friends who were like that for a while who just would just lay in every day. The rest turned into what I would consider laziness. Like it turned into okay, instead of just you're taking time to recuperate, you're just recuperating all the time. So now you're not even recuperating at this point because now your body's been ready for you to do something. Yeah. And you're not doing anything. So by not doing anything, you're just not getting rest and you're not doing anything productive to produce anything. So now you're just being lazy.
If you're not stressing yourself out in any area, then you have nothing to rest from.
Right.
And like, so like if you if you're also stressing yourself out all the time, then like, if you're like me and you're always trying to consistently grow, but then you're not taking that time, like we were talking about sleep,
right?
As taking that time to recuperate. If you're not taking that time of rest to just let your body, your mind recuperate and pretty much do a reset.
Right.
It's kind of like do a reset, like restarting your computer, because whenever you restart your computer, it shuts all the resources down. It shuts exits out of all the applications. It asks you if you're sure, and you say yes, and it shuts everything down. And literally, what a computer then it wakes itself back up and it wakes itself back up. And it does whatever routine it needs to do to restart itself. So what it's doing is shutting everything down and starting off with a fresh plate, with a resource where your resources aren't fully taken up, and your resource. And like I'm not the best at analogies sometimes on the fly, so I feel like that made sense.
No, it made sense.
So like if you're stressing yourself all the time, like I do sometimes, like. I don't even think, like, to say that you deserve rest, I feel like it's an understatement. I feel like you just need to take it. Like, you just need to force yourself to take some rest. Because if you don't, you're going to crash.
Yep.
You're going to crash and you're going to burn, and you won't be productive, and the choice will be made, if you don't make the choice, it will be made for you.
Yep. You don't want to burn yourself out. That's what happens to a lot of people. So it is important, especially if you're doing a lot of things productively, to take time to rest. Why? Because then you produce better work.
Yes. No, that's really good. And I think that I feel like that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you for listening to this episode.
We love you guys.
Yeah. And if you like this episode, let us know on Spotify. Let us know what you thought about it. You can comment if you like. You can rate this one on this specific podcast episode on Apple Podcast. Rate us on any platform.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. We don't want your 1 star. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And then you can also go ahead and share. If you go ahead and share this episode out on your social medias, that would be fantastic. That helps us out. Obviously, that feeds the algorithm, and it tells people that we're somebody they might want to listen to. So if you at that time and you got the few seconds, I know you have the few seconds.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of rambling, but no, guys, we appreciate you. I also want to point out real quick. We did have a comment asking about that Nate episode we could expand on something.
Yeah.
And so I haven't asked him yet, but I feel like I want to have Nate back on to go and she wants you to expand on something specific.
Okay.
And it was a good question.
What was?
It was, well, we'll talk about it later.
Oh.
But the
in future episodes, we'll expand on it.
Cut that out too. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
See you later.